So in this video, we're going to do a series for the neck. The neck can be a little tricky, especially when we're doing our cars, for people to feel pain, especially when they go to the back, which is what we refer to as a close angle pain. We want to eliminate and avoid any close angle pain as much as possible. So if you do feel pain, you just need to back off and make that circle smaller. However, there are techniques that you can use to kind of help you pass through that pain and strengthen those areas. So let's go into it. So you'll see here I got set up with a yoga block between my thighs. This is going to help with creating tension and irradiating through the body. And it's also going to help to keep those core muscles engaged. So in class, I'm coming around and trying to steal blocks from people. So just keep that in mind. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to use, I got a Swiss ball. You could also use a pillow or anything big that you can wrap your hands around. The reason for this is because it moves our scapulas or the shoulder blades out and around the ribs and gets them out of the way. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we want to take a nice seated posture. So we don't want to be slumped back. We want to get on the fronts of our sits bones, which you can feel on the bottom of your bum, and make sure that we have a nice long spine, especially through the lower region. Now, one thing with the posture too is you'll notice that the back is slightly rounded in the upper back. The reason for that is because that's what a spine is shaped like. So the spine is not actually straight. So it does have a curve to it that allows for a lot of decompression and pressure to be taken off each vertebrae. So what we're going to do is just focusing the neck. This just sets us up so our spine doesn't move. So we're going to start to squeeze the blocks together. And you can pick which intensity works for you. And you're just going to take a breath. Exhale into your lower abdominals. And draw the belly button in. Feel those abs turn on. And squeeze that block a little bit tighter. First thing that we're going to do for the neck is we want to practice flexion. So you want to think about tucking your chin backwards. Okay? And then one by one, starting to tuck the chin. Now you should feel this. A stretch in the back and tension in the front of the neck. We'd pause there. You can hold for 10 seconds. And then keeping the chin in retraction, we're going to move up one vertebrae at a time. Now you'll notice here, you want to think about keeping the neck tall and moving up and over something. Pointing that chin to the sky, again avoiding any closing angle pain in the back. And we start to tuck the chin as we come down one vertebrae at a time. And up. One more. Keeping the teeth clenched together. Not enough so there's tension in the jaw, but just by keeping the teeth closed, we'll increase the stretch in the front of the neck or the scalenes. And up again, checking that your back hasn't changed. Tension is still pressing into the yoga block. And back down. Now, if you did experience any pain when you go to the top, you're just going to, like I said, just reduce your range of motion. So maybe you don't go quite as high. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on rotation. So we can rotate the neck from flexion and extension. So today we're going to do both. We'll start with flexion. So tuck the chin back, start to flex the neck one vertebrae at a time. And then feeling like you have a pen on your chin, you're going to trace a circle where your shirt collar would be. Looking over your shoulder, I tell people to check their blind spot. And then scraping down. And checking over that other blind spot. What you don't want to see is any side bending, so you never want to bring the ear to the shoulder, just strictly rotation. We'll do 4 in total. Two more each side. Keeping the core tight, squeezing that yoga block again. Keep the lower abs engaged, the belly button pulled in, and scraping down the front of that chest. Checking the blind spot. Again, feeling no pain on the closing angle, which here would be the side I'm turning my face to. So no pain on that side of the neck. And one more. And up. Excellent. Okay. Now we'll come back into flexion. We're going to keep the chin tucked and extend up one vertebrae, pushing the head back. Notice the difference between this position and this position. Okay, so we want to be here. This is going to put not so ideal forces on the rest of the spine. If I push down on my head from here, the force isn't distributed evenly through my spine, whereas here it goes right down my back into my bum, into my legs, and out my heels into the ground, which is the way we want it to be. So now we're going to come into that extended position. Okay, as high as you can. And now we're just going to go through that rotation again. So you're checking the blind spot. Be sure not to bring the ear to the shoulder. It's a rotation, not a side bend. And up. Check the blind spot. Like there's a hill in front of you and you're tracing it with your chin. Keeping the neck tall, and the hands are active pushing into the ball, the legs are active pushing into the block, lower belly button is still pulling inward, and the lower abdominals are engaged. You should notice as well that your sit position hasn't changed, so you haven't shifted back. You're still on the fronts of those sits bones. And if you feel your back is tired, that's totally okay. This is a very long time to be in this posture for. One more. Excellent. Come back to center. So let's assume that there was one part of the neck car where you actually had some tension. So for me, it's when I'm rotating to the right. So if I go ahead and I just rotate to the right, I know that I can't quite go as far. It doesn't feel as smooth as when I go to the left. So what we can do is we can apply some low-level pails or isometrics in that position. So what we would do is, if my right turning is my trouble area, I'd turn as far as I can, and then on the opposite side, I put my hand and I just turn against it. So I'm pushing with my hand and turning against my hand with my face to create an isometric contraction. I recommend with the neck muscles, because they're small, we do it at a low tension. So I'm about 30-40%, and we'd hold for about 30 seconds. And then what you're gonna do is you take your breath in and relax. And notice how your neck will actually go further. Just make sure that we're not rotating with the whole entire spine. This is essential for athletes that do a lot of rotation, like baseball or golf or tennis, where the neck needs to remain in one position while the rest of the body moves. And also just good for everybody that has a spine. We'll do another one, pushing in, resisting it. Maybe this time, because your body's a little ready for it, you can ramp up to about 50%. After about 30 seconds would go by, you'd relax always with an exhale. And now, because we required some new range of motion, you let go with your hand, hold here, and we just do some quarter cars. So we're just gonna do a portion of the car. So we're gonna go through the part that we're trying to increase. So I'd come into extension, and then I'd pull into that new position, checking over the shoulder for the blind spot, trying to make sure that I reach it. And then we come into flexion and back, checking over that blind spot, really feeling those tissues being pulled. Good. After you did that a few times, you could come into a full car just to kind of tie all the pieces together. And again, make sure we're looking over the shoulder, no rotation. And we just got rid of the ball so we can do our isometrics with our hands. So it's one way and the other way. Really trying to pull far in that spot that we just worked. Excellent. Now, when you're doing a full neck routine like that, you can do cars every single day. But when we're talking about isometric pails and rails for the neck, I recommend giving at least 3 days between the next training sessions because the neck muscles are so small and you just don't want to overdo it. So cars can be done every day, but anytime we're doing pails or isometric holds, we want to just make sure that we give it at least 3 days before we do it again. Hope you enjoyed the video and enjoy making that neck better.